you know, there is a tremendous, you know, and I don't know if anybody's seen these the Channel 13 PBS series on America's parks.
Yeah.
But this is just a wonderful treasure we have.
It really is. It really is. And I have to admit, when I researched to get the park listed, I learned a ton and how important and significant it is, not just to our area, but to Westchester County. And more importantly, it was one of the first parks in the United States to actually implement the regional park planning movement, which was the whole idea of bringing the city to the country. So it holds a significant place in America's history, really. And I was very pleased to learn that. And so it's really an asset. And the whole idea is that we put a new roof on, it's watertight. We could encourage a tenant to potentially come in and want to invest in it. And by having the property listed, we can also then recoup the benefit of if it's a profit-making entity who wants to come in, let's just say a daycare center or something like that, they can apply for the historic preservation tax credit because they're a profit-making entity. As a municipality, you can go for grants, they can go for the tax credit. So simultaneously, you can be reaping the benefit of its historic significance to help reuse it.
I mean, there's no better use of our time, I think, if we can be creative about solving this problem that's probably been left for 50 years. But comments from the board?
Is there any thought to how this building can be used for more than 3 months per year?
Absolutely. The feasibility study that we did, we actually identified, I want to say 42 appropriate uses according to today's building code that could actually occupy the building, including handicap accessibility and properly functioning bathrooms.
Right?
Year-round. The whole idea was year-round. I mean, really, it's a gem. It's got parking. Handicap accessibility is actually quite simple to introduce, and the fact that really the summer months there's a crowded beach around you, other than that you have your own private building in a private park.
I understand obviously the value of making it handicap accessible and to meet with current building codes, but what is the use? What is the proposed uses?
The use could be, the three use types that could easily fit in there are business, education, and assembly. So anything from, let's just say, an educational facility that worked with marine life, whether it's science and lifeguard training, things like that. Senior center for arts, for anything like that. The Kids Space actually came to the commission years ago and wanted to rent it to use it as a daycare and after-school program. Having kids right in the park was a great fit. So the idea that you have a tenant during the day and then it's quiet again at night for the neighborhood is quite appealing. So there were a lot of uses. A day spa. I mean, if you go through the feasibility study, it lists out specific uses that we had identified without much work to the inside.
And plus, if we wanted to, if we had the right project participant, we could expand the footprint of the building, correct?
Right. We have a historic precedent that there was a one-story and a two-story wooden addition on both sides. Where the parking lots are now, it was all a wood enclosure. 2 stories for men's changing rooms, 1 story for women. So there's an idea that there was always a larger footprint there, and when the state was here to visit, we talked to them about perhaps expanding the rear, keeping the front its historic appearance, but expanding the rear appropriately, and they encouraged that if it meant reusing the building in an appropriate way. So you could actually double the back entirely, put 2 stories on.
Great. So, well, I'm thinking of calling it the Villanova Center. I don't know if...
You're going to fund it for me, Joe?
Any other questions for Lisa?
Yeah, Lisa, obviously I've seen you. Good to see you again. And I've been following the presentations that you've given us and also the documents you've presented to us. The roof that we're potentially going to be funding, does it include repairs to the flat roof in the rear?
Absolutely. Very good question.
Okay. Because I remember the
breakdown of the a la carte.
The breakdown, right? And then the other portion of that is that you did a section of the roof, and part of the problem there is that it was layers upon layers upon layers, and so I just wanted to make sure that was part of it as well.
And one of the things to note, it's a strange building, as you're probably aware of its shape. There are actually 10 roofs on that one building, and 5 of them are tile, the other 5 are flat, so it includes all of them. And when you saw the presentation, what we did was break it out for tile and flat, in case enough money couldn't be afforded to do the whole project, we could buy the worst case scenario first.
Right.
So all of the roofs are accounted for.
That's great. The one thing that you did present to us, you just mentioned again tonight, which I think is most important, is that this envelope. Without the roof, forget it.
Exactly.
The building is lost.
Exactly.
And we might as well have done nothing and continue to do nothing for the next 100 years. Joe is right. We have to engage now and be active. Unfortunately, we're in the 11th hour where we need to make this decision. But I think even if this was the beginning of this grant process, it's something that we would have been making a decision on anyway. So I want to thank you for your efforts, and I think that the town of Rye, the park, is obviously the biggest beneficiary of your work. So Lisa, thanks again, and
it's been my pleasure.
Well, and just one other thing before Lisa leaves. Obviously, this is the first step, not the last step. So what we decided at the Rye Town Park Commission meeting is to put together a capital budgeting committee for Rye Town Park, taking the good hard work that Mr. Nowotnik has done, having Lisa with her expertise. Lisa's volunteered to help us with that committee. Figure out how much it's going to cost to do various, give us some sense of the capital
needs. Help prioritize
the needs. So if there's anybody from this board that wanted to participate in that committee, I just wanted to open that up. I just want to make sure it was available to you if you wanted to, and we'll let you know when the meetings are taking place.
I'd like to help out.
Would you? Okay. I think it's just a fun project. Great. Thanks so much, Lisa, for coming.